Well, I think the big thing is, as a leader, it requires energy. And for me, it's actually looking after those energy levels. So I do a couple of things. The first thing is probably around food. Over the years, I've learned to listen to in regards to what food loves me back and what makes me feel good. And so I just listen to how my body feels when I eat certain foods. Is this making me feel really good or not so good? And so that's where the changes have come in. And it's really more, for me personally, it's more, I become more plant-based whole foods. That's probably the big thing. And it's not a biggie. It's usually just I focused on one meal at a time and implementing that in. So I would focus on breakfast and creating beautiful fresh breakfasts. And then I would look at the next one, doing lunches and doing the same thing. And then dinner, I would have a selection of things so that I didn't have to do too much thinking, because I don't know, I think I'd like to think it's more about being efficient than being lazy. In the sense of, it's there. I don't have to think about it. I can, if I've come home and it's been a full day, I can just pick up something that I'm really comfortable at making, and I don't have to do too much thinking. The other thing would be is to have regular breaks. So I set my phone. I've learned that my mind takes, there's more energy when I have a regular break. And sometimes that could be go for a 10-minute walk around the block, just to refresh and to be able to clear the head and declutter. And that would probably be my biggest two things that I do. And then I put the buzzer on. It's a real basic one. For every hour, I will stop and have a drink of water. And, sometimes I might have to, I have to be honest here. Sometimes the alarm might go off and I'll go repeat and not get up. But, it's more like that's the 20%. It's the 80% of the time that I'm able to do those things. So, yeah. So those are really just the three key things that I've just put into place so they're a natural fit. Yeah.
Hello, everyone. So my self-care routine over the last couple of years has been for me to be able to make sure that I leave on time at 4 p.m. every day, that I have the time to go home, to be able to decompress a little bit, take my dog for a walk, play a little bit with him, and then go to the gym. So what I've been trying to do is at least 3, 4 times a week, give myself the time and the space to be able to go to the gym and be able to leave behind a lot of the things that are coming in from the pressure of day-to-day work and a lot of the responsibilities that pile up throughout the day. I found some significant impact in doing this. I was able to lose weight. I was able to feel better. I was able to, have less stress in my life and be able to show up better as a leader within my organization by being able to tackle more issues throughout the day by giving myself that space. And I've noticed on the days that I'm not going to the gym or on the weeks when I'm really busy with school and then work and not having the time to really have that personal time and being able to at least get some of that negative energy out, those are the days when I don't show up the way I want to show up at work.
Thanks a lot for stopping by amid your busy schedule and sharing, because as a friend and colleague, I've watched you go through the transition and become a more Zen person, but yet still achieving and adding value in your career. And then the other things that you do to support people outside of the organization.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I started taking golf lessons a year ago, and I went twice a week. And after that 1 hour lesson, I found that I was full of energy. I felt really great. And so for Christmas this year, my husband bought me a golf trainer, and I take it to work with me every day. And I set my timer, my door, and I'll take my little golf trainer and I will use it for 10 minutes. I will swing. It's attached to my iPad. I get feedback. I found that if I don't give myself a break about halfway through the day, I find myself starting to get foggy in my brain. I find that I'm not as responsive to people. I find that I'm a little bit more short in my responses, and that's not the leader that I want to be. I got this little inspirational book called Never Give Up, and every day I read it, and it's just quick little passages, and I write it on a sticky note, and I stick it on my computer at work, on my computer screen, and I look at that every day. I may have a bad day that day, but I am enough, and when I'm enough, then I can be enough for my colleagues and the team that I support.
Self-care. The first one is purpose, which is that when I'm taking care of myself, I feel I am more purpose-driven. I can fulfill my mission because I am at peace. And you'll see in a minute how. And it's a way for me to claim back my power. But for this, there is a practice, which I'll share. And for all of us in continuous improvement, there's always a process. So the image on the right is something that I think is very common, very simple. Who doesn't love a cup of tea? I think it's a favorite self-care ally. But I've created my own little French cafe in my tiny little balcony in Mumbai. And now in the next slide, I'll take you to my routine, which is, I call it my rest, recreation, rejuvenation routine. I begin my morning. So it's like a daily practice. That's where the P of practice comes in. You'll see how the power is coming. You'll see the process. In the morning, I begin with a meditation. It's on an app because then I don't have to think, but I enjoy it. It's something I wake up to and I feel the power. I feel calm. I think in a lot of religions, there is some form of prayer. And so also I chant a mantra every day, and I use a counter, beads, which I think is nothing special about that. And then I'm on to my exercise. As you can see, I'm not a designer or anything, but that's my space. No fancy yoga mat. It's just my carpet. And from there, I can see the sea view of Mumbai, as well as I can look at my French corner. Sundays, I don't exercise. I just practice a little bit of yoga. My gratitude practice is something which has been shared by me earlier. So some of you who are, I noticed some friends, and they might have already heard it. I've just taken a simple notebook, converted it into a gratitude journal, made it my own by painting a gratitude symbol of a tree with autumn leaves falling, because then, you know, when they fertilize the soil, I believe that when we are grateful and kind to others, it's like a ripple effect. The gratitude jar, which you can see on the top, is courtesy our fabulous host, Debbie, who gave me this idea. And so it's the chits put in. Now, what do I write in the journal? Each day, I just write 5 points of what I'm grateful for. And I learned, I think it was in a Jack Canfield presentation, that you should also write why you're grateful. So I think that was important, kind of a continuous improvement in my process, because it helps me to link to my purpose, one of the P's in my 5P practice. There's also an app, so when I travel, I can just have it on my phone. Victory log is something that I do every day. It's nothing, it's just a journal where I'll write one line of what was my victory. And I'm thinking that today will definitely be this session. Then in the evening, I always go for a walk. In fact, a fun fact is that even if it's raining, my neighborhood will see me with an umbrella. But there is a process. I check the air quality index, and whenever that's not good, then I'll just walk indoors. Water, we all talked about. I've learned that from, you know, Making It Obvious from the Atomic Habits book. And so I always have like a tray of water bottle and a glass next to me. In the weekends, I try to search for a comedy show, because as they say, laughter is the best medicine. It doesn't have to be in the theater. It can be as simple as just on Netflix. And then we're on to my last slide, which is basically how do I reflect on my success with this self-care practice.
Sorry. I was so intent.
That's okay. I still have a little bit before I go on to success, and which is that I love to show up for events. So that's a pool party. And the tempting part of it was my favorite food. We've talked about food. So that's the dosa you can see there. As if I need any incentive to show up. I love showing up anyway. And then I participate in festivals. So that you can see is my rangoli, which again is kind of lean because I don't use the recommended flower which people use. I just use the watercolors that I have. Whatever I have works. And then I always reflect. I feel like, so at the end of the month and at the end of the year when I'm plotting my wheel of life, I feel there's nothing great or special in any of these practices, but I think what's good is the discipline, the regularity, and I like to think that it's creative. So I'm a work in progress. If I had known Debbie 5 years ago and she had invited me, my gratitude practice would not have been there. So it's evolving. And so does all of this mean that I never get angry? I never get hurt? I never lose my cool? That's not true at all. I judge myself. I know we shouldn't be judging, but you can say that I measure myself on my comeback rate, which is a restore rate, which is how quickly can I come back on track? And I think that has come through because of my self-care practices. And there are an amazing amount of creative possibilities that come my way when at the end of my meditation. I think Debbie will have to call me for another session. And I've seen the impact on my work purely related to the quiet time. And then and many of you have heard me say this before, that there are no coincidences. So the day that Debbie confirmed the session, that day itself, this affirmation card showed up in my meditation app, and I'll read it out to you. Taking care of myself is a radical act of love. Thank you so much, Debbie. You have always and always been an inspiration for me.